All right. Hello, Miss Allison, and thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to be having a wonderful conversation today about if a spark is necessary in having a healthy and lasting relationship and how ignoring it can possibly set you up for a good relationship and honestly better finances. So, I have Miss Allison Wellington here. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Alison. I am a certified dating and relationship coach, and I primarily work with singles to help them find the partners that they deserve.
Awesome. And for those of y'all who don't know me, my name is AttiQuewa. I am a women's financial coach, and I help women create balance between living life and reaching their financial goals because nobody has time to be miserable just to say they have money. So we're going to go ahead and rip this Band-Aid off because I'm excited about this conversation. So first off, I wanted to have this because I'm still getting notifications from a post that you did a little while ago. And it was something about you responding to a lady that said, if there's no spark, there's no deal. And I want you to kind of like go into detail about what it is that spark does for people and why it might not even be necessary.
Yes. So let me preface this by saying that we are not speaking about everyone in every instance. Folks love to see a post and say, well, for me, for me, for me. Well, we're not talking about anecdotals, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about based on my experience as a dating and relationship coach. I have over 150 testimonials from women who are either in committed relationships, engaged, or married, who have worked with me, who have followed my advice and have found success in their romantic lives. Okay, so this is not for an individual. Your story might be different. We're not saying that your story is not the truth. I'm just saying, please do not try to use your story as the evidence that what I may say is absolutely wrong. It didn't work for you, or it did work for you. It doesn't mean it's wrong for everybody. Okay, so with that being said, what I shared is that many times some people rely on a spark, an instant connection with an individual when they meet them for the purpose of dating and relationship. So when a gentleman meets a lady, when a lady meets a gentleman, maybe on a dating app, maybe on a first date, and they are relying on this instant chemistry, this instant spark, this instant sometimes sexual tension between both parties in order to decide whether or not that person is an appropriate match for them and whether or not they should continue to date them. And what I said is that many times when folks follow that desire, that chemistry, that you can't really describe it, but you're just instantly attracted to them, then many times that's going to lead you astray. And instead of us focusing on the things that matter, on the things that can substantiate a long-term, happy, committed relationship, we're relying on chemistry. And then we're surprised when you're following a line with Alison and you're downloading all of the freebies and the trainings and the master classes and the challenges, and you're 30 and you're 35 and you're 40 and you're 45 and you're still struggling, right? And then you want to, okay, Alison, you're wrong. Well, clearly you ain't got the answer, Sway. And I say that lovingly, right? So let's try something new. How about we give a gentleman, we give a lady a chance that you may have not had instant chemistry with, but we continue to ask the right questions. We continue to vet them. We continue to get to know them to see if something can grow. Now, I am not recommending that you date people that you are absolutely not attracted to. I am not recommending that you date people that you find unattractive. I'm talking about a spark. So, what does that mean? I am a pretty lady.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think that most gentlemen would think that I am a pretty lady. But most gentlemen may not feel a spark. They might not feel a chemistry. They might not feel a connection immediately. What I would recommend is that you would still give me a chance. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. Let's ask some questions. Do you want the same things that I want, right? And then potentially that can grow over time. So, again, to reiterate, for those who will choose to listen to the parts that they want to choose to listen to, I am not suggesting that you're dating people you are absolutely unattracted to. I'm just saying stop relying on this chemical synapse in your brain to go off as the deciding factor of whether or not you should continue to see someone.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with that. One, out of my own experience, but two, just witnessing things growing up and in my own friend circle that I had. And it's just like, y'all keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity, literally. And
Mm-hmm.
you're wondering why it's not working out, or you're miserable, or things aren't going your way in a relationship, and it's just like, okay, well, it's because clearly y'all are not compatible, but you're just relying on this gut feeling that you think you're supposed to have, or this instant connection, and that instant connection sometimes can lead you down the wrong path.
Yes, many times the people that we are instantly attracted to, the reason why we're instantly attracted to them is because of some toxic stuff. I'm not saying this is the case for everybody. I'm not even saying this is the case for most people, for some people. So we've all heard about the bad boy trope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this idea of, ooh, the biker, he's a little rough around the edges. He's from the hood. Maybe he's been locked up before. Maybe he gets fast money. Like, ooh, that's so sexy and that's so attractive. Yeah, the gang member's gonna get you shot. When the police pull y'all over and then they find a gun or drugs in the car, now you locked up or losing your job, right? So we need to be mindful of what is it about this person that's causing this instant attraction, and is it healthy behaviors, or healthy characteristics, or healthy traits? Is it the fact that this woman has the body that was paid for, which ain't no shade, because guess what? After I have my second baby, I'm going to Miami. So y'all gonna rewind this video. Y'all gonna say Alison was shading the girls who got their body done. After my second baby, I'm going to Miami. Okay, but I'm just saying. Is that what you're attracted to? Are you attracted to the bottle girls who have these sexy outfits, that their makeup is done all the time, their hair is laid to the gods, and then when they want you for your money, you're surprised, you're annoyed, and you're frustrated? That's unreasonable. That she doesn't want to settle down. She doesn't want to cook. She doesn't want to clean. She doesn't want to have your kids. She doesn't want to even exclusively be with you, and you're surprised. Well, you look at what attracted you. What was the thing that you found desirable? You latched onto it. And then when things don't work out in your favor as a result of it, now you're surprised. But yet you're not willing to give, the kind of like the regular guy a chance. We have to be reasonable, beautiful people. We have to look at what the past has shown us. Look at what you have historically done. If what you've historically done has not worked out in your favor, you need to reconsider something. I don't know what that something is. I'm telling you, the something is giving people a chance that you normally wouldn't date, right? You figure out what that something is, and you need to do something different.
Absolutely. So my experience with dating is very limited because I met my husband when I was 19 going on 20. And the little situationships that I had prior to that, they don't even count. They don't even count. I don't even have any exes at this point. But I knew what I did not want to deal with from what I witnessed and experienced growing up. So when I met my husband, just a couple of weeks prior, I was like, I'm done with dating. I'm good. I don't want to, I'm going to just focus on school for now. Next thing you know, I'm sitting here in church and the drummer, which was his brother, was looking at me, and I had like the fleeting thought of, oh, only if there was a taller, skinnier version of his brother. Next thing you know, here he is, and I'm being introduced to him, and I'm like, okay, well, he's attractive, but he's not my type. And us talking about it, like we weren't each other's type. He's somebody who's interested or was interested in older women, and I was somebody who was also interested in older guys. And a little darker skinned, but after we met up for the first time, the next day after we met, I realized, okay, after talking about certain things, we have compatible goals. We know what we want our family to look like. We know what we don't want to deal with. We know what type of relationship we want and all of that. So we was like, okay, this makes sense. There wasn't that initial spark because, again, that wasn't something that he was safe. He still is safe compared to what I was used to seeing. So if I would have went with my type or what would have normally attracted me, oh my God, there's no telling where my life would be right now.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, like we've been together, going on 10 years now, or actually 10 years now. And ignoring that lack of initial spark, we are now raising a 15-year-old. My God. We own our house. We live in Texas. We got away from environments that weren't conducive to a healthy relationship. And then we are also seeing what life is going to be like when we have kids later down the line, like biological kids later down the line. And there is nobody in this world that I can think of that I would rather have someone help me raise kids than my husband. Because again, that spark, that person that I was initially attracted to, that group of people I was attracted to, I'm able to see certain things of who I used to deal with, the mutual friends, and I'm like, oh my God, I dodged a bullet.
The Wi-Fi broke up a little bit, girlfriend, but you back now. You good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, but I get, now that we're established, I can look back on the people that I used to talk to or the mutual friends that we have, and I see like certain pictures pop up from time to time, and I'm like, I dodged a bullet.
Yes, yep, absolutely. When you see where those people ended up, what they look like many times too, because they've chosen a difficult life, a hard life, and so that starts to reflect on like, damn, we went to school together, we the same age, it's wild, right? And so
You
we
got 10
definitely,
kids already.
yeah, and you look like it. You look like you've been through the ringer, right? For men and women, we're talking about. So
Yes.
I think it's super key that we really do give consideration to people who may not be initially our type. And on that same post that you're talking about, it was coming from both men and women. Mostly, well, I would say probably a majority of the women, 50-50.
Yeah.
For the women who are responsive, 50% were saying, that's reasonable, Alison. I might consider trying someone new, or saying, hey, I did try someone like you. I did try something different and it worked out in my favor. Other 50% of women were saying, nah, I ain't trying that. All right, good luck, Chuck. Then for the gentleman really got on my nerves, I gotta tell you, because a lot of the comments from the gentlemen were, don't listen to her, don't try something new, because all you're gonna do is destroy that man. What are you talking about, sir? It's like, so some of this outrageous. Just because she tries something new, then that means that she is going to automatically cheat or lie or undermine or disrespect. Absolutely not. We're not talking about, we're not talking about a Steve Urkel, right? We're talking about a gentleman who is attractive, is doing fun. He's not your normal height preference. You 5'2", he's 5'10", and he ain't tall enough.
I don't understand that. I really don't, because the average height for a woman is what, 5'4", and the average height for a man is like 5'9" or something like that. Mm-hmm. There is an obvious difference in the height. What do you need to be climbing trees for, ma'am?
So I'll explain to you. It's a little animalistic. So It kind of goes back to this idea of, and this desire for women to be protected, right? So if you go back to the caveman era, the woman is in the cave taking care of the kids. Maybe she's doing some gathering while husband used lightly. Like, I'm sure they didn't have like formal husbands, right. But like your partner would be out hunting. So the bigger the man, the more muscular the man, or larger in size, the more intimidating and the more protected the woman felt. So I understand it from an animalistic perspective. However, we don't live in that society anymore, right? So as a result, you need to adjust accordingly, right? Guns, you in Texas, guns are the great equalizer. So your size don't really, in New York, it's hard for you to get a gun. But you get my point. Like, that kind of lifestyle hasn't existed for humanity for a very long time. So as a result, there's no reason why someone should only, but that's what I'm attracted to. Why? Dig deep. Why is that? What is it about a tall man that's going to make him love you more? That's going to make him be a better husband, a better father. He's going to help you when the baby is waking up in the middle of the night every 2 hours and you're exhausted. What is it about his height that's going to help him to contribute to the household financially? What is it about his height that helps you to run the household more efficiently? Is a taller man, does he tend to be able to fix cars better? What is so great? It's an animalistic desire, which I understand, but we need to add practical and logical reasoning to this. And what that says is you're letting go on potentially who could be your husband because he's 2 inches shy. And look at this part. He has absolutely no control over said height. No control. This isn't, and I know some folks won't like this, but this isn't weight, right? Yeah. This isn't shape. Mm-hmm. This isn't physique, which you can outside of, hormonal issues or whatever, you can relatively control. This is his DNA. He has absolutely no control whatsoever. So to hold someone accountable, and then again wondering why you're in this. If you married the guy of your dreams, and you happy and you're fulfilled, you're in a committed relationship, you're fulfilled, I ain't talking to you. I'm talking about the people who say in one breath that they don't understand why they can't find a good guy because they're a good person, but then their standards are unreasonable or illogical and not with the times.
No, not at all. And I know there are a ton of surgeries and stuff. People like, what's tripping me out is people getting leg surgeries or kneecap surgeries to increase their heights. But that's still not going to change the fact that if y'all decided to procreate, those kids still gonna be short. They still gonna be short or have the possibility of being short anyway.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I was in group with my clients just yesterday evening, and we were talking about height. The woman, I think she said she's like 5'1" and she wants a tall guy. And I gave the same spiel, which I always give, which is, what is it about a tall guy that's going to make him cook for you? What is it about a tall guy who's going to take care of you postpartum? What is it? Right. And I know the answer, because the answer is nothing.
Right.
So I'm being sarcastic when I ask those questions. I'll try to put it in a different perspective so that they can understand my point. And she said, yeah, but when we have kids, I don't want to have short kids. Like, I don't want to have, like, make a son who's short and at a disadvantage, just like the guys that she's rejecting. Right. The irony. Right. I said, okay, I get that. Would you rather have a short son and an active dad who's loving and affectionate? Or would you rather have a tall son with an absentee dad? And I'm not saying that tall guys are by default absentee. I'm just saying, if you're using someone's height as a reason to procreate with them, and when they're an absentee parent, then you're surprised. Which I'd rather the child who is emotionally sound, loved, appreciated, supported, more financially sound because they have both parents in their household, and they're 5'6". Then they 6'3". All the girls love them. They're all over them. They have poor attachment styles. They feel rejected by their father. Their mother works 2 jobs to make ends meet, so he has poor supervision, right? Like, all of the things that go along with that lifestyle. No, thank you. You better vet people on who they are as human beings.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because I know one of the main comments, the 2 main comments that was sticking out that I was getting under the post, people are like, well, it sounds like you settled. And it's like, there's a difference between understanding things logically and actually settling because there's absolutely no other choice for you. And I'm thinking, like, okay, well, when I first met my husband, his thing was he did not want to date anybody who had kids. And that was kind of like my preface too. I've seen the ins and outs of that, and I personally didn't want to deal with it. But fast forward to now, this same man is helping me raise a child that is not his. Mm-hmm. And I didn't birth either. So seeing how making a logical decision based off of what we wanted to see for our future generations, this is actually aligning with everything. Mm-hmm. This child is going to be emotionally sound. She's going to be in a stable environment, or she is in a stable environment. And so will the kids that we have later on down the line. And then also just thinking about the financial impact. The people that I have briefly spoke to in my non-dating days, I knew that they were going to be terrible for me financially, just by how we were interacting during that time. Just like, oh, I got $20, I got you, I'll pay you back another time. And that never paid. It never happens. And then it's just a continuous cycle of what I witnessed in my personal experiences and then the people around me. And I think if we can sit down and figure out, okay, what is it that we really want for ourselves on a deeper level, because the looks fade. Sometimes the money will go away. What is the core of the person that you want to go through the trenches with? Because life be lifing, and that will happen.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Paying attention to those red flags can really set you up for failure, and noticing them and then taking action, aka moving along, right, mm-hmm. can put you in a position of success. Number one, of course, emotionally, because we're in romantic relationships for the emotional aspect first, but then we also live in a capitalistic society, so we have to be realistic about the financial ramifications of choosing the right partner and choosing the wrong ones, right? And so, like, for instance, with my husband and I, choosing the right partner, someone who enjoys life. Like, I know that's like one of your biggest taglines is like, I'm not going to suffer for the sake of saying I have some money saved. Like, I can enjoy life and be responsible. So he enjoys life. He enjoys to travel. He likes nice things. But at the same time, he understands and appreciates that the bills got to get paid. We got to have a savings. We just had a baby. Like, we need to put towards her college tuition, other things, first car, down payment of a house, whatever that might look like. And so that also helps. So when we talk about one thing that women talk about a lot, mm-hmm. is about feeling secure. That's a part of that security, right? But yet we want to harp on, you know, whether or not he has a beard, or whether or not he's darker or lighter, or whether or not he's 6 foot or not.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, and I don't know if it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg, but they tend to say that shorter men are better love makers. Again, I don't know if it's as because they know that they're short, then they know they got to show up and go above and beyond, or what. I don't know what the connection is.
Mhm.
And then shorter men tend to marry and live and be married for longer. The taller you are, usually you grab more attention, and then that attention can cause folks to stray. Again, I'm not saying that tall guys are terrible people who, I'm just saying when you use something so arbitrary as your decision making, or your radar, or the parameters that you use, your picker, your discernment is poor if that's going to be what you use to decide whether or not someone's a good match.
Absolutely.
Whether or not you tingle on the inside parts when you see him on that first date.
And it's one of those things, like, eventually attraction can grow. If you are actually getting to know a person for who they are, you can say, okay, well, on the outside, this might not be the person that I would have typically picked, but now, you know, I had a good conversation with this dude or with this girl, and you know what? She's really cool. Her personality, you know, my husband is a man of very few words. He is not someone who is, the words of affirmation is not his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when we had a conversation one day, and I was like, you know, so what made you, you know, decide to go with me? And his thing is, you're confident. And I'm like, what? Nothing else, just confident. And he's like, well, that's the main one. Like when we had like our first interaction at my house, there was a homeless lady outside, and we had ordered pizza, and I made sure to give her something because she was digging through the trash can. And he was like, well, that's one of the things that caught my attention. And then as time went on, just realizing that I was a confident person. So the logical version of me is like, okay, well, that's a good compliment, because we see the social media clips and the answers that people give to certain questions. And I understand why competency is really important. But that emotional factor, I'm like, okay, but what else? But that's really all that matters, is that I'm competent in his eyes, and that he trusts me with handling everything in the household. And that was a huge deal that I had to work through, because I'm like, oh, well, I'm used to hearing like the lovey-dovey phrases and all this other stuff, or I'm thinking that you're supposed to have these lovey-dovey phrases, and it's like, no, that's not who he is, and that's all right. Everything else is amazing.
Yep. And just for clarity, because you know this video is gonna make it places. When you say that he trusts you to take care of everything in the house, what you mean is that he knows you have the capability to do so. You don't actually take care of everything. You have the capability, meaning that if a pipe bursts, you know who to call. If you know, somehow the mortgage payment became late, you know how to call the company and negotiate so that they don't hit your credit score. Like, you know how to handle things. You know where things are. You know how to put them away. You know how to cook. You know how to wash dishes. Like, you know how to manage a household and a schedule. You know how to, not that you actually do so.
Right. Like, I am the house manager, essentially. I had this we had this conversation with the kid, because one day we were out and about, and she was like, you know, I don't like how it seems like he's the ATM when we're out. He's always paying for stuff. And I'm like, okay, so what do you think I do? Because for us, it doesn't matter where the money is coming from. All money that comes into the house is ours. It's coming from the same account regardless. But that's not something that she needs to worry about at the moment.
Right.
But her thing was, you're just a housewife. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm just a housewife? So explaining, you know, I'm the appointment setter for everybody. The quotes that we have to get for the house to get done. Making sure everybody is getting, or she has her medications, making sure that just pretty much everything is being taken care of. He doesn't have to worry about certain things. Like, he comes home, his role is the providing, the protecting, and then he also is the main cook of the house. He will come home from work and cook. He will come home for lunch and cook. That's not my ministry. And I'm not even going to pretend like it is. If you need me to bake something, I got you. But I just don't enjoy cooking. And so we step into these roles that work for us, and it's creating an environment that is healthy and is not volatile.
Yes.
So that's where that competency comes from. I am not like, oh, he's out working 12 hours a day. So I'm not allowed to speak up, or I'm not allowed to do anything or question him. No. That's not what this is.
Yep.
We just know that we have our particular roles and it works for us.
Yep, absolutely. I'm with you. I hear you. I think many times when you work from home, people don't see, the responsibility that you have outside of managing the home, like actually working from home and earning money. It kind of gets lost. But I'm glad that she spoke up and she said, I see a disparity here, and I don't know if I like it too much. So that was a teachable moment for her.
Absolutely. Because I was even telling her, I was like, well, what happens one day whenever you start dating in a serious relationship as an adult, if they say, you know what, kid, or because I'm not going to say her name on the internet, you know what, why don't you rest for a little while? Why don't you just take care of yourself and figure out what your next steps are? And I got everything. And she was like, that makes me uncomfortable. And I'm like, okay, I understand there is already that hyper independency that she doesn't want to depend on anybody. And I'm like, okay, no man or no woman is meant to be an island. We are supposed to be able to depend on each other. And the people that you put into your circle, the people that you put into your lives, you're supposed to be able to call on them for certain things. Yeah. And if this is your partner, you should be able to trust them to take care of you if you need to take care of yourself a little bit more and not worry about everything outside of the house. So that is something that we are working with her, because unfortunately she has not seen a healthy dynamic. So this is a new environment, a healthy environment, but it's a triggering environment at the same time.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. And then, so kind of switching gears from the whole spark thing, one of the not symptoms, I want to say one of the benefits of stepping out of our normal box was, one, my husband put me down this path of healing. I did not know I needed to heal when I first got with him. And as time went on and I'm seeing that he's showing me a love and affection that I did not witness, it started to actually trigger me. Like, what is this? You're making me so uncomfortable. And then come to find out, it's because I had like unresolved traumas that I need to work with. So he put me down this path to start my healing process. Then while I'm going down my healing process, I am learning what my purpose is on this earth, helping people with their finances and the way that I do so. And then also we're seeing that, okay, we've gone through healing, we've gone through finding the purpose. Now we're going to be able to reap the benefits generationally of what our finances are going to look like.
Yes.
Because we did not come from a very affluent background. He was raised in the country. He's the youngest out of 6 siblings. I am the oldest out of a lot. And the different dynamics that we're witnessing, we're like, we don't want that. We don't want that at all. So we are working hard as heck to be like, okay, we're going to work hard, but we're going to play hard too. And that's something that we had to really figure out, because sometimes we can go from one extreme to the other depending on the season.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you mentioned that in regards to generation, like setting up your success generationally and generational wealth, because one of my favorite lines, one of the things I live by is that there's no generational wealth without family.
No.
And so we talk about generational wealth in the Black community specifically, but I think what we're talking about is getting rich. Which is cool. There's no shade on that. If you're talking about getting rich, like you want to make a lot of money as quickly as possible, hopefully legitimately, right?
Absolutely.
But if you're talking about generational wealth, you need to have a family in order to pass it to the next generation. And I might sound old school, but ideally, I would like to see us passing those funds, those properties, the bonds, whatever it looks like, that we're passing it on to our children that were created in wedlock. So I'm so glad that you brought up this, this generational wealth thing, because we talk about it a lot. It's a great buzzword, buzz phrase that folks like to use, but they're talking about getting rich.
Yes.
And I'm talking about establishing generational wealth, which might mean, by the way, that your generation may not be rich.
No.
Or you may not be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor for very long. You might not see the fruits of your labor till you're 50. And you're 35 right now, right? Like it might be something, a seed that you're sowing for many years to come, but your kids are going to be lit and amazing and set up for success and don't have to get it out the mud. And your grandkids are going to have the start right? That you didn't have. Now, I've seen some people, though, ironically, because this message that I've been sharing about there's no generational wealth about family is really picking up, especially in the financial circle. I'm seeing a lot of folks talking about it. They ain't giving me my credit, but it's all right. You know, I'm gonna give myself the credit. I'm the originator, okay? But nonetheless, well, you know, that's how you create children who are unappreciative and, you know, born with a silver spoon and they're never going to work for anything. No, it's a balance. It's I'm going to make sure that your college tuition is paid for undergrad, and you need to cover your master's program. It's going to be, I'm going to allow you to study and not have to have a full-time job and study at the same time and be stressed out and look 40 when you're 20 years old. It's going to be, I'm going to make sure you have a safe car. You might not have a Benzo. You can have you a little Toyota. It'll be safe. It'll be clean. And then so when you're going to parties and clubs, you and your girlfriends can drive, or you and your guy friends can drive from one place to another safely and not have to worry about anything. I'm hopping in strangers' cars or Ubers or whatever. So like this idea of you shouldn't provide or you shouldn't leave things for your children because then they're going to be unappreciative. They're going to be spoiled brats. No, that's you being a lazy parent.
Absolutely.
It's your responsibility to be balanced, where you can give them a leg up without overindulging them.
Absolutely. Because I earlier this week, was it today's Tuesday, right? I think it was this week or either the tail end of last week. I was talking about how when you're on your financial journey, you're finding that you will find a purpose. You'll see the things that you actually have to take care of and what's going to take priority over money. So if we are talking about we are building generational wealth, honestly, sometimes that generational wealth might not start with you per se. It may be, okay, your job is to create the financial foundation for the next generation to follow so they can add into it. But you also may have the job of healing, showing your kids what a healthy, happy relationship and household look like, so that when they are building that money on top of the foundation that you created for them, they're also now pairing that with a happy, healthy foundation for a relationship. Because we already talk about how generational wealth is gone by the third generation, always. And sometimes it's education, but also it is the person or the people that you are with. I told my husband, when we start having kids and we are accumulating this wealth, once it's time for everybody to get married, I promise you it is a requirement that everybody sign a prenup. And if they can't sign a prenup, then I'm sorry, you cannot access this trust because the money is staying here. I did not bust my behind just for somebody's daughter or son to come in here and be like, oh, they have money. I'm gonna marry them, stay with them for about 5-10 years, and then I'm gonna ask for half. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So it's like that. The generational wealth is good, but it's not just about the money. It is about the family. It's about the environment that you're curating. Because we already see that when people have money, and they have demons that they have to work through, all it's doing is adding fuel to the fire. It's not doing any for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I hear you in regards to the prenup. I know that's another conversation for another day. I know some people are really sensitive about it. They feel like it's a plan for failure. I can see both sides. I can see both sides. However, I got you. Next episode.
Yes. Yeah, because it's okay. We already see it in the news, like all the what was it? What was this soccer player's name? He was like
I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah. So she was married to him for 5-10 years or whatever the case is. Then she asked for 50% of his assets. Then come to find out his assets is under his mom's name and he's technically broke. And it's because there are people who are very litigious and they're like, okay, well, I have this game plan. I have my eyes set on you because, I mean, I don't really mess with you like that, but I like the resources that you have.
Yeah.
And so when you are creating this generational wealth, it's that game plan of, yes, money is important. Everybody has to live, and I don't want my kids to start from scratch. However, you also need to understand what a proper relationship looks like, because I can't have you out here squandering money on somebody who just is not worth it and is just going to deplete all of your resources.
Yep, and AKA deplete all of my resources.
Absolutely, because you ain't work for none of this.
Right.
So I like this opening subject of having that spark and how sometimes ignoring the lack of it will set you up for a healthy relationship and healthy financial foundation, because sometimes your emotions are going to be the downfall for a lot of the things that you got going on, or that you have planned, or that the purpose that you're supposed to have over your life. You over here reacting emotionally for stuff when, you know, sometimes your heart is going to lead you down a path that is just going to destroy you.
I
And
agree.
it sucks. And I know it's because of all the fairy tale stories, you know, the Disney princesses. And, you know, now we have social media just fanning the flames like, oh, you know, my man has to make $100,000, or I can't date him. Why? Why does he need to make $100,000?
And so, and let me tell you the joke. I'm in New York City. Guess what? 100K is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these arbitrary numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I give examples all the time. I know a cardiologist, he makes $344,000 a year. He's broke. Why? He has properties that are underwater. They were poor purchases.
Mm-hmm.
He's paying 2 sets of alimony to 2 ex-wives, right? Now, when you get to the second ex-wife, you got to have a conversation about maybe it's me, right? I'm the common denominator here. And just poor spending habits. So we're looking for this particular number because it sounds good. And then we're not taking into consideration people's spending habits, their saving habits, their budgeting habits, and their general lifestyle and expenses, and how that, and where they live, number one, and where they live and how that can impact, you know, their financial stability.
Oh my
Just
God.
a number because Twitter said so.
Yeah, because, you know, most of my clients are in New York, and when I'm looking over these numbers, I'm like, why do y'all live up here?
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time their expenses are not even expenses. Their rent or their mortgage is more than our household expenses combined. And that is absolutely wild, because I know
When we get offline, I'm gonna tell you how much my mortgage is, and I want you to let me know what you think. In comparison, I'd love to hear it because I'm sure it's wild, and
oh my God.
it's a small house, girl. Like in comparison to in New York, we lit. In New York City and Brooklyn, we're lit. We're not lit any other place.
Oh my gosh. Listen,
But I mean, you know, we could talk about also the benefits, right?
Mhm.
In terms of convenience, in terms of cultural diversity, in
True.
terms of no, and this might sound really silly. I was talking to my dad about this earlier. He lives in Florida. My sister lives in Tulsa, that was just hit with some tornadoes. Like, we don't have natural disasters like that. Like,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. See, I love visiting New York. I can't live up there because oh my gosh. But going back to like that $100,000 number, California, New York, Florida, Virginia, that's nothing. That is nothing. Down
Virginia?
here, oh gosh, no. Virginia, $100,000, at least from where I'm from. I'm from Northern Virginia. So Prince William County and up. And I'll put it to you this way. The house that we bought here for $125,000, 1,500 square foot, that same house would have cost us about $650,000 where I went to high school.
Sounds about right. How many years ago was this?
This was 3 years ago.
So my husband and I purchased our house, 1,800 square feet, attached on both sides. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Driveway this skinny, can't fit his Jeep, could hardly fit my SUV. We bought it 3 years ago, $730,000.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord. And then not to mention like all the stuff that we're doing around the house, we're closing our patio and converting our garage is going to be 2,200 square feet, 2,300 square feet. The house across the street from us just sold for $220,000. My neighbor, when she bought her house, she bought it for $72,000. So
where are you in Texas?
I'm in Killeen. Well, it's not called Fort Hood anymore. It's called Fort Cavazos. But in Central Texas, I'm 2 hours from Austin. 1 hour from Austin, 2 hours from Dallas.
Okay.
So yes, I can't go back up north. There's absolutely no way. But that $100,000, it's subjective depending on where you live. And a lot of times it's coming from a materialistic standpoint. Because every time I see these clips, it's, well, you know, he has to be able to take care of me on these trips. He got to pay all the bills. You know, I want to be able to get some, what is it, Birkin bags Louis Vuitton bags,
Mhm.
all that. That should not be the priority.
Mm-hmm.
And why can't this person work his way up or work their way up to higher income? Why do you get the benefit of a finished prize? I don't know if I'm wording that right. Why do you get that? Why do you get that benefit and you didn't see her work as hard as she did?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Something about that conversation always just makes me annoyed.
There's some issues, some topics that I don't even bother to challenge because you're never going to get to a resolution. I just hope that it dies sometimes. Like I realized just 2 days ago or yesterday, finally, what conversations died out, and I hope it never comes back. Who do you feed first, your husband or your kids? And then the other conversation that was around for years, which is who sits in the front, the wife or the mom. Like, just some conversations are not even worthy of conversing and continuing, and so I just hope that they die. So let this one die. Let's hope.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, y'all are just looking for a fight, and
Yeah.
I'm really tired of the gender wars. The gender wars is annoying. When I tell you these last couple of months, I've been working hard to cultivate a feed that I don't see these topics as much because I know my thing is whatever you continuously see, eventually it's planting seeds and it will blossom, whether it's negative or positive. And I started to see that once we were seeing these clips and just being bombarded with them, it started to have a negative impact. Because when that man Kevin Samuels, oh my God,
bless the dead.
Yes. Once he started to come around and then all these podcast pimps started coming around, I was like, oh my God. So there is this rule or there's this like understanding that, listen, it has nothing to do with us. We're not watching it. Or if we're watching it, we're not internalizing it and we're going to keep it moving. We're going to laugh and move because my God.
Yeah, I talk about that all the time. Like, you have no idea. When I talk, it's called the social media feed. It is feeding you. It's feeding your spirit. It's feeding your mind. Absolutely. When that gentleman was making his content, I did not press share. I did not comment. I did not forward to my group chat. I am not going because the algorithm is blind in the sense that it doesn't know this is good, this is bad. It's people are talking, it must be worthy of sharing some more. That's all it knows. It can be Tabitha who's reading a book to us, right? And her voice is so soothing. Yep. If we're commenting, we're sharing, we're liking, the algorithm's going to give it to you. And then it can be someone who, and I'm not saying that this gentleman particularly was like a woman hater, but it can be those podcasts that are women hating and all that kind of stuff. They don't know that we cussing people out in the comments. All they know is that there are comments that are 4 or more words, which means it's valuable enough. The pages are being shared. It's going out of Instagram. It's going within the DMs. So this must be valuable content that I am going to continue. I mean, the algorithm is going to continue to share. So we have to be mindful. We have to cultivate what we decide is worthy of our time and effort and energy. Now, I still follow the Shade Room, for instance, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend like, oh, I'm holier than thou. And I still want to keep my pulse to the streets and know what's going on in urban America and otherwise. So I have the Shade Room, but you don't have to follow the Shade Room and On Site and the Hollywood whatever and the Neighborhood Talk and like, all right, they all posting the same ish. Like, come on, son. Like, we got choose one and keep it moving. But I'm not engaging in content that is not going to further my efforts in some form or fashion, or even just like a sweet voice, or even Amazon finds to make your life easier, or if it's a page that's about hair or makeup, like it's going to be something that's going to be a benefit to me in some form or fashion.
Yes. And that's pretty much what my feed is right now. It's DIY stuff and mainly it's DIY stuff. I mean, that's pretty much it because that's what my life is right now. But yeah, what's feeding you is what's eventually going to end up killing you or making you better. Yeah. And with these gender wars and all the other podcast conversations that just aren't going to be benefiting what you want, a healthy relationship, somebody who's actually going to love you through sickness and health, richer or poorer, all that wonderful stuff. I really wish that people would be mindful and take stock of what it is that they are internalizing, what they are constantly feeding themselves, because I think a lot of these conversations will die down if people were more intentional about what they were listening to.
Yep, I agree. I think the other problem too, which I'm kind of formulating, so work with me. I'm kind of like formulating my wording exactly around this. But I think that a lot of people who are in healthy, happy relationships are too busy being in healthy, happy relationships to be on social media, to be countering the argument. So
Yeah.
it seems like all of these guys hate women and all of these women only want the six figures. But there are so many of us who don't care, or so many of us who aren't like that, but we're too busy loving on each other to be in comments arguing with you, trying to teach you something. So then now the internet becomes a bit one-sided, and we're getting the impression that that's how most people feel, because that is what we continue to see.
Yeah.
But it's because folks like me and you ain't got no time to be trying to teach somebody. Well, I do is what I do professionally, but the folks, not clients. If you're not a client, not a paying client, I don't have time to be trying to teach you what is in your best interest.
Yeah, and then even on the internet, when you try to educate somebody or, you know, give them a different insight, immediately they want to attack you. Nobody has time for that. Nobody has time for that. But I know you have a schedule that you need to keep up. Do you have time to answer one or two questions?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions for Alison about the spark or relationship or anything? Let me see.
So let me ask you, right? Because I'm not accustomed to restream. So can I see the comments? How does this work?
You know what?
I want to see.
I don't know. I mean, I think if you were on a computer, I think you would be able to see it.
There's a button here that looks like comments, but I'm afraid I don't want to click it and then get kicked out.
Does it look like a little chat bubble?
Yeah.
Click on it. Let's see.
Hi. Okay. Yes, it's there.
Okay. Let's see what Janice said. Janice? Yes, it's the mindset of the independent woman mixed with housewives shows is my take on it. Money, 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 but you never hear anyone say, oh, I'd choose personality. That part. Actually, there was a clip that I saw earlier today. Somebody was talking about, would you date somebody who made $50,000, but they had the best personality or something like that? And then the other choice was, or you date somebody who's rich and they are boring as heck. And most people chose rich.
Mm-hmm.
Like, y'all gonna learn. I mean, although I teach finance concepts, money is not everything. It's not. It's a good, healthy portion of it, but it is not everything.
It's a good, healthy portion of it, but it's not everything. Like we said, we live in a capitalistic society, so we're not, and we like nice things. So we're not going to pretend that money doesn't matter. I'm not going to lie to you and say that, you know, if my husband was a bum who had no ambition, but had everything else, that I would give him a chance. I absolutely would not. I absolutely would not. Right. So we don't want to give you guys the impression or give you advice to go date people who are broke. Like, absolutely not. But at the same time, we need to take into consideration what are the things that are going to help you to be happy and healthy in the long term, including money. Indeed.
Absolutely.
My husband's in the chat. He said, if. That's right. We ain't talking about you. You ain't no bum. It just wouldn't happen. And for a laundry list of reasons, it's not only specifically about the money, right? Like it's also like, so you're okay watching your partner bust her behind while you chill, right? Or, you know, there's so many other ramifications to dealing with broke folks. Like, they're just really okay to sitting, just watching you struggle. And that's disrespectful. You don't really love me. Like, right, there's so many more factors than it is the actual dollar bill.
Yes. If you can sit and watch somebody struggle, you're not trying to make any type of effort. What are you even in a relationship for outside of just leeching?
Yeah, leeching. That's what it is. It's leeching.
Oh my gosh. Let's see.
Which is so unsexy. Oh. So unsexy.
Like, it just sounds like the rivers will run dry.
Yeah, that's what I was insinuating. Well said. I think, is YouTube pretty particular about the language that you use? Like, they'll kick us off if we say something crazy?
Actually, I think they're pretty lenient.
Okay. I think it might be Instagram that will ban you. But that's exactly what I was insinuating. Thank you for picking up what I was putting down.
Yes, ma'am. I don't see any questions popping up, but I think looking at the comments that this is a good conversation and ongoing conversation that we should keep having. Yep. Will y'all be doing more joint lives? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is the plan.
And thank you for everyone who's.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, Love Muffin. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I was doing so good. I'm like, I had 2 minutes left. As soon as we started the live, I said, damn, I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
It's all right.
Yeah, so, gosh, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, thank you for everyone who's joined the live. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you. Especially the last minute. I sent out a text like 10 minutes before. I sent out an email like 15 minutes before. I know you were so flexible with me, so thank you for your flexibility in working around my schedule. Because I'm the queen of double booking and not looking at the calendar before I say yes. I'm like, yes, let's do it.
Listen, it's all right. Life be life. And right before joining this live, I had to go to the grocery store, go to Target, pick up my husband. And then, I'm over here glistening because it's 125 degrees down here. So I get it.
So New York looking a little bit more attractive, right? Because right now it's a nice cool 75 degrees. Nah, from Canada. And don't blame us. That's Canada's fault. That's Canada. Blame Canada.
I like the heat, but I think this is too much heat.
I like the heat.
But all right. So how can the people find you, ma'am?
Yes. So you can find me here on YouTube at Align with Alison. So youtube.com/Align with Alison. I'm trying to get my YouTube life together, y'all. I have released a new series, a podcast called The Single Season with Alison Wellington. We're up to episodes 1 and 2. Episode 3 is dropping on Thursday at 2 p.m. And there's new episodes every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you subscribe to my page, but you hit that notification bell, because I'm not really concerned about subscriber numbers per se, as I am the fact that you guys are actually getting the content. So hitting that notification bell for us as content creators is everything. So make sure that you do that. Every Tuesday, I have my YouTube show/podcast, The Single Season. You can also find me on Instagram, which is my biggest platform, at Align with Alison, ALIGN with Alison. So that's where you can find me. Yes, Ms. Brooks, The Single Season. How are we going to navigate the choppy waters of the single season to get you into that happy, committed, fulfilling relationship? So 2 episodes already up, brand new show. Actually, I'm going to record the next of episodes on Thursday. So every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, here we go.
Phenomenal. And then same thing, y'all, I'm over here trying to get YouTube life together because I've kind of like abandoned Instagram. So I'm over here as That Finance Chick on all platforms. I have a podcast on YouTube that I just started last week called A Balanced Life, where we talk about the ins and outs of finance and just living life in general. Okay. I go live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. There's not a set time because, again, life be life, and I let y'all know when I go live. And then, of course, if you want to follow me on Instagram, because that's your main platform, I'm on Instagram as well. But I really appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. This was a really good conversation, and I like to see all the comments and the interactions. Y'all are amazing.
Yes, and Wendelin said that she already watched episode 2 with Vanessa, and it was some great insight. It was real juicy. I need to check it out. And she's making the mistakes that we all make. It's so funny because I saw someone underneath the comments of a clip that I put to advertise the show. She put like, Alison, how do you deal with all of these people with all their hot mess? I was like, because we all have been a hot mess in some form or fashion. Maybe This might be a little bit more dramatic than what you've been through, but we've all been a fool for love somewhere on the spectrum. Maybe someone was super foolish. Maybe somebody's a little foolish, but we've all been a fool for love. And so in episode 2 is real juicy. This woman who keeps going back to the ex, and not learning how to let go so she can move on, so she can find what she's looking for. So check it out, beautiful people.
Awesome. And tomorrow I'll be going live around 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We are going to be continuing the topic of creating that balance and creating a financial foundation. This is a 30-day series. So just stay tuned and check out the notifications. But until next time, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will chat with y'all some other time.
Yes. Bye, everyone.